What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. For those that don't know, I'm Matthew and this is Matthew Hawker Gaming. And before we get into the video, I'm going to apologise. I haven't done one of these in-person collecting videos style before. The last one I did was earlier in the year, was me explaining about my digital game collection, which was my Steam game collection, for those that want to check out the video. Anyway, I link all my collecting videos in the playlist. Alright, today we're going to do what's going to be similar to I did a video showing my favourite Xbox games. I'm going to do one today about going into my physical PlayStation games. This isn't going to include my digital games or games I don't own in person. These are going to be my favourite. They're not necessarily the best. They're going to be my favourite PlayStation games, going through all generations of PlayStations, from PS5 to PlayStation 4, 3, 2, 1, basically. I'm even going to do PSP, the handheld, as well. Although the Vita games aren't going to, although I own a Vita, they say the Vita games aren't going to make these videos. I only own one physical Vita game, because I've got PKJG and that gets me the rest. Anyway, we're upstairs today. People that haven't watched my more videos, they say, why are we not in the game room today? We're not in the game room today because the game room is a bit small to film in and it's kind of restrictive on my space and I can't basically fit everything in there. And there's not, so we're filming upstairs today. I'll show you the panorama. So this is probably going to be my bedroom eventually. We're going to, I'm going to eventually probably be up here anyway. And you say the console, so this is basically the cupboard. And this is currently my showing my that's basically my boxed consoles, and quite a lot, and they're mostly my hardware in that cupboard. For got everything. You can see all the PlayStation boxes. I'll just show you the thing. So I'm in the UK. For those that don't know me in person, they're basically, this is an upstairs bedroom effectively. So this is the outside. This is the view of the garden. There's basically a railway track. So if we get any trains going past in the background, that will be it. I'll now spin round and we're going to go into the video. We will start with the PlayStation 5 and then we'll go backwards. We'll go through the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 in that order. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And as always, my name is Matthew and this is Matthew Hawker Gaming. So we will start with the first thing we're going to go into is my PlayStation 5. So, for those that don't know me in person, so mainly I'm based in the UK, I'm based in Europe, so all the prices I'm going to quote in the video are going to be from Price Charting. They're going to be quoted in pounds sterling. So I'm going to quote what I paid for the game, where I can remember. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each game, why it's worth playing, and has it been ported to other more accessible platforms, because in general some of the games are quite expensive depending on what platform they're on, and they might be a cheaper alternative. And all the other prices I'm going to quote are from Price Charting. As always, I'll link my collection on Price Charting in the description, as always, and we're going to get into it now. I'm just going to get the piece of paper showing the prices. Right, sorry, apologise for that. That was my finger getting the camera, or I'll just adjust my hand. Okay, so that's fine. So we'll start with PlayStation 5. So my PlayStation 5 has been with me. I got the PlayStation 5 on launch. Basically, I got the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X within I got them on the day it came out. I got them from Game in the UK, and thanks very much. And that was in lockdown, so they delivered the consoles and they were fine. Right, so let's go into my PlayStation 5 games. And basically, I don't have very many physical PS5 games. Most of them are digital. I think it's around 80 games total digitally. Anyway, let's start with the physical ones anyway. So we're going to go into the first. My first game is Demon's Souls. So Demon's Souls, for those that don't know, is the remake of the game Demon's Souls, which is this is a remake rather than a remaster. So this is basically what was a PS3 game that was before the Souls games took off and became popular. So this is basically the remake by Bluepoint Games on the PS5. It's a format exclusive, or it is at the moment. It's currently, it's still format exclusive. Do we think this will come out on the PC eventually? I honestly do, because I think it's going to be remade. So it's going to be done, because normally they stay as format exclusive, and there's going to be some more games in that I think have been format exclusive and won't be. This is Demon's Souls one of the best games in the Souls series. I haven't actually played it that much, but I'm sure I will like the game. And like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and that are some of my favourite games. But I just have to be in the mood to play them. I've also got Elden Ring, and Elden Ring's getting us expansion soon anyway. Anyway, and this is Demon Souls. I got it new, so it was whatever the new price was. They were quite expensive. They're like 50 plus in this country. This is going for $23.79 at the moment. Okay, so this is Dead Space. So this is the Dead Space. This is the remake. This is one of my games I bought most recently. I literally got this within the week. I paid. This is the remake of Dead Space. I've played the original games as well. And if you watch my Xbox video, check out my Xbox video showing my complete Xbox games collection. And when you say that made the best games on that format, and this is going to make this as well, I'm sure I will like it. I say basically, this is the remake of Dead Space. For those that don't know, it's a survival horror game. It's similar to a Resident Evil one, or it's similar to an older style Resident Evil game because there's more jump scares and less shooting, but the combat in it is quite good. Anyway, it's Isaac Clarke on the thing. It's really good. It's similar to the original, but like it's been remade. It's now at 4K and it runs perfectly well. And I say this is one of my cheapest PlayStation 5 games. I got this within the week. I paid £2 for it. It's going for $24.76, and this will be in my pickups video as and when I do one, which I try to do one when I get to like a decent amount of games to show. I should be doing one. I'm building up to it anyway. It should be one within a month or two. Anyway, this is Dead Space the remake, a really good game. If you like, there's also the other games that are similar to this, or like there's the more recent Alien game. I can't remember what that's called. That's more available as well. All right, and we go on to my last PlayStation 5 game. So this is Returnal. So this is by Housemarque. They also did they're more known for Resogun, which was a PlayStation 3 or 4 game, which they also did. Anyway, this is Returnal. So Returnal is like I'm quite into my Metroidvania games recently. I recently got the Metroidvania pack on Humble Bundle as well. Humble Bundle, for those that don't know, is a PC thing which enables you to get a lot of games bundled in for charity, and it's worth checking out if you have a PC. Anyway, don't worry if you don't have a PC anyway, because this is Returnal on the PlayStation. I paid the tag price, which was $52.99 a core. That was expensive. That was second hand as well. It's now not going for nearly as much. It's going for $17.61. Anyway, the thing that differentiates Returnal between other like Metroidvania games is it's similar in style to a bullet hell shooter, in which it's more based on projectile attacks and less about melee attacks. And there's lots of interesting biomes and that, like Metroid. Anyway, I haven't played it as much as some because I've run out of storage on my PlayStation. The PlayStation 5 doesn't come with a lot of default storage. It's under a gig. I think it's around 600 and something 20 megabytes. Anyway, they've solved some of the issues with the PlayStation storage because you can now put an SSD in. I don't have one, but I will get one eventually. And you're also worth bearing in mind some of the games, once you own the copy, and I would say I'm a physical collector mainly, so I like having my games in physical format. I know you can get it digitally. I mean, you say Returnal, it's a great Metroidvania kind of game, and it's one to check out. And it's not format exclusive anymore. It is now available on PC as well, so you can get it on Steam and maybe even Epic. I can't remember if you can get it on Epic, but I get most of my games on Steam on the PC anyway. Anyway, I got my PC after I got my Xbox and the PlayStation, so I basically try and get the games on it that are format exclusive, but I still play on the PlayStation because if I can get the game for cheap, or I like using it as a back compatible machine to play my PS4 games, because I didn't get a PS4 at all. I don't own a physical PS4 at all. Anyway, this is Returnal. Right, so we're going to move on to the PlayStation 4 games. I'm going to apologise if I have to swing around and pick up a pile. And before we know, let's say I'm filming on my Red Manor Madness map. It's not related to video games, but thanks to Anthony and the boys at Red Manor Madness, I also do Magic content as well as video game content. So thanks to Red Man Madness for gifting me the map. And also some of the games coming up I bought off Anthony from Red Man Madness as well. So thanks very much, Red Man Madness. Right, so for that, okay, we're going to do PlayStation 4 games. Right, so we're going to start off, we're going to have God of War. So funnily enough, before recently, this was I had never played a God of War game. And this is also a really good game. So the person on the front is Kratos and his son on the thing. And they basically go on a quest. I won't spoil it. They say, but it's one of the best games in that kind of style. It's similar in style to it's more similar in style to Devil May Cry or something like that. It's got a fantasy setting and he basically goes on a quest. He's also, Kratos is voiced. So this is basically remake. It's not a remake. It's more like a remake of God of War because the original games were on the PlayStation 2 era. I haven't actually played those PS2, 3 era. Anyway, I've got those, but I haven't got around to playing them. And then this is the more recent one. This is I think it's 18 or 19. I think it's 19 actually. And this is God of War. Anyway, the character is voiced by Christopher Judd, who plays Teal'c in Stargate, and then so I think of Stargate and the Jafar and stuff like that every single time I see God of War. Anyway, it's a good action game. It's one of my favourite, and you can play this. It's playable on PS5. It's worth bearing in mind PS5 will play. I think it's 90 high 90s percentage of PS4 games. It won't play like 5-6 games or something percentage of it. Anyway. God of War was really good, and I first played it on PlayStation 5, and I believe it was one of the first games I finished on the PS5 as well. Anyway, that's God of War. What did I pay for God of War? I paid £6 from Anthony, going for £8 something. Right, then we move on to Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy. So relatively recently, I'd never played a Crash Bandicoot game. And this is basically the remakes of the first 3 Crash Bandicoot games. Called Crash Bandicoot games, I was expecting they're going to be easier than average. Because you think platform game, it looks like a cartoony thing, looks like Mario, going to be quite easy. Nah, Crash Bandicoot, it's actually pretty difficult. Anyway, it's basically all 3 Crash Bandicoot games from the original PS1 games being remade, completely redone in basically a lot higher resolution. They gave this away on PlayStation Plus. I do recommend PlayStation Plus. I'm on Premium. They give away new games every month. It depends what quality games they are, but like they give you some good ones, and then you say, what do you get this month? I think it was FIFA, the most recent FIFA 24 or whatever they call it, FC 24, whatever they call it now, and 2 or 3 other ones. Anyway, you say there's some good games on. Anyway, this is Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy Pack. This is also available. I believe you can get it on. I believe you may even be able to get it on the Switch as well. Anyway, I paid £6. It's going for £10. Alright, I mean, say most of the games I feature in this video are going to be European games, but we're going to get onto some Japanese ones, and it's worth bearing in mind. Okay, so this is. I'll try and pronounce it now. So, as you know, I mean to say there's going to be some shooters in here, and this is one of them. This is Donpachi Blissful Death Reincarnation. So, or this shortens to Donpachi Daiju, as opposed to Donpachi DFK, the most recent one. I also got another Donpachi game recently, which will be in my pickups video, so we'll save that for this one. That was way more expensive than this one. I mean, this is Donpachi, the Blissful Death, they call it. This is also available on Switch, and this is a port of a PS2. Did it come out on PS2? I think, yeah, it came out on PS2, but it was Japan only, I believe. All right, I paid 60. This is going for 45. The difference it being in this one is it's the best version of this game, as you see the art on the back. Okay, so these ports are done by M2, as it says on the front. It says M2 Shot Triggers. So M2 Shot Triggers is basically M2 is a Japanese company that port various shooting games to more recent platforms, and they make them more accessible to most audiences. And they don't only port the game, they do a lot of additional content for the game. They put in extra modes. They put in, for beginners, they put in like a beginner mode, which is easy for all people, and they also add various arrange modes. So this is literally the definitive version of the game. So I'd recommend this to all players, and you say all the M2 shot triggers releases are worth getting. I don't have all of them, but I'm building my way up, and generally I get the PlayStation version over the Switch version most of the time, because these ones have achievements on, and I like achievements and that as well. I've got and these Japanese PlayStation 4 games, they run on an English PS5 as well, so you can play all region PS4 games for free on the PS5 anyway. Alright, so that's Donpachi, one of my favourite shmups. There'll be some more shmups in the video for sure. And then we're going on to Ketsui Destiny. So this is I believe, yeah, it's Ketsui Destiny Kazuna Jingo Tachi, I believe. And we see Anthony at Red Man of Madness. I've been trying to pronounce the things. Some of these games are like a mouthful. Anyway, this is the port of Ketsui onto the PS4 on M2 shot triggers. So it's got more range modes. This one I paid, this was the most expensive PS4 game. I paid $75. And I don't think that was when it originally came out. It was slightly afterwards. The previous one, Donpachi, the Donpachi game, I got when it was released. So I got it within about a month or two of it coming out in Japan. Both of these two games have come from Genki, which is a company in the UK that do various like import games of various things. They both do retro and modern. So check out Genki Video Games, I believe. Anyway, this is the port of Ketsui. I'm not sure if I prefer it to Donpachi. I think I prefer Donpachi because it has a bit more of a theme I can get behind. Ketsui is a bit more like a military thing, and it's worth bearing in mind there's also a Ketsui arrange mode in Donpachi as well, although not that one, it's the one that it originates on the 360. Anyway, that is the PS4 games. Let's get on to the... I'll break up a bit. I'm going to go into the handheld. I'm going to do the PSP games next. Right, bear with me when I pick up a pile. Right, so let's do the PSP. So PSP games, I didn't get a PSP immediately when it came out, but I did get a PSP. You say when I didn't get it when it came out anyway. The PSP is a great handheld, although I'm probably more a DS collector myself. Anyway, let's show you some PSP games, and I'll say whereabouts they came from. Okay, so this is my first one. So this is Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. So this is the first Monster Hunter game I played, and the one that got me into the Monster Hunter series. I've played the more recent ones on the PC recently, and I've got the various ones on the 3DS, etc. Alright, this is Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. This was the original Monster Hunter I played, and I remember playing it in the car. I remember playing against, I believe, Monster Hunter, though, for those that don't know, is an action game by Capcom. And when you say Capcom games are generally above average in terms of that, I think they have better production values than quite a lot of other video game publishers. And when you say Capcom games, I also feel have an above average difficulty, and I believe this one also has an above average difficulty. No, Monster Hunter is a great action series of games where you basically go into combat with various different weapon classes and you fight against various series of monsters. So they're more like an action kind of thing. They have a fantasy setting though, and I do like my fantasy. Anyway, this is the game I would say coined the term Monster Hunter Claw, because you had to grip the PSP at a really kind of weird kind of angle, and it gave you hurt your hand after a while after you do the thing. I mean, so I'm a hammer man in Monster Hunter. I like the hammer. So that was the weapon where you basically couldn't carry a shield, and you had to roll to dodge most of the combat in the thing, and you basically couldn't block. So it was a bit more thing, but like the hammer had a higher DPS. Anyway, check out Monster Hunter Freedom Unite if you have a PSP. And I would say I'm also going to give you alternatives. So for Monster Hunter games, there's a lot more Monster Hunter games. The more modern ones are worth playing as well. I've got more time on the most recent one. I haven't played World much, actually, but I've got that as well. Anyway, so Monster Hunters were worth checking out for sure. Right, so that's Monster. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. I probably got that when I remember getting that. I got that in Sainsbury's, which was the UK supermarket. I don't think it cost much at the time. It was like £10, and it's going for £11 something. Not a big thing. All right, let's carry on. All right, so now we're going to go to GTA. So this is GTA Chinatown Wars. So this is GTA. So this is similar in style to the older style of GTA games. I mean the 2D ones, rather than the more recent 3D ones. So this is basically a spin-off, effectively. It's not a main series kind of like GTA game, but it is exclusive to the handhelds. Oh, before I know, this is also available on the DS though. So this is basically what I would say the better version for me personally, as I don't have the DS version anyway. I've probably got it on a multi-cart somewhere. Anyway, you say this is Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. It's similar to the older style of GTA games, and it's probably the better way to play this. I'd rather play this on a handheld with better graphical quality than the odd DS with the touchscreen controls. Anyway, this is a GTA, and it's probably more forgotten about. And if you've played all the more modern style of GTA games, this one is also worth checking out. It's also exclusive. And before I go into the other things, so PSP games, you can play PSP games on a PS Vita there's software called Adrenaline, which is like an emulating software which will enable you have to have a modded PS Vita though, and it will enable you to play all these PSP games. Or I think you can play nearly all of them. And then there's a shop that we say no more about mentioned on this that you can go to, and you can effectively download them and play them. Anyway, if you have a PS Vita and don't have a PSP... Oh, it's worth bearing in mind, if you've never seen a PSP game, these are what are called UMDs. So these are Universal Media Discs, I believe is the acronym for it. So they come on these little kind of thing. At first I was like, what on earth is it, like the disc? And then there's like kind of like a hard kind of outer casing thing around the disc as well. And that's how they go into... Anyway, it's worth bearing in mind you can't play these on a physical Vita as well, because the Vita doesn't have a port for this. It has like an SD card port slot. Anyway, that's Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. And don't forget that won't be the last we have of GTA on this. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say I paid I paid £11 and it's going for 25.62 currently. And it doesn't look great outside. It looks like it's going to rain. So today is Tuesday. So I normally on Tuesday I play Magic in the evening. I go and draft in the evening. So hopefully it doesn't rain. Right. So now we're going on to Ridge Racer. So this is the game I got with the machine. As you can see, it says for display purposes only. So it means it was a packing game. So I got the machine. So Ridge Racer is one of my favourite I love arcade driving games, which to people who've been watching the channel for a while, that won't surprise you. I've featured lots of them before. I may even do a video on my driving games, so I don't know how to think about that. And if this is Ridge Racer, the reason why this one gets there and the second one doesn't get there is because I can't remember playing the second game on the thing. Anyway, Ridge Racer is a great series of arcade racing games. Dates back to the PS1, and this is one of the better ones. It may even have tracks from that game in it. I can't remember. Anyway, I got it free with the machine. It's going for about £4 something now. Alright, let's move on to something different. Anyways, this is one of the other ones. So this is Lumines. This was the game I picked up on launch with my machine, along with Ridge Racer and maybe some of the other ones I can't remember. Anyways, this is Lumines. So this is a puzzle game. It's similar to a Tetris or a Columns. The thing that so basically you have there's a series of blocks. They basically it doesn't quite work like Tetris or Columns. And then there's basically what's called the line. It moves along the screen, and basically when the line and the blocks matches up, all the blocks that have matching colors get eliminated from the screen. And basically what also sets this game up, as opposed to the other games in similar style of puzzle games, is the music. So there's a great so this one, the reason why I picked this one over the more recent one is this is not spoiled by licensed music. This one, the game has the tracks are all made by the company. They're not licensed shovelware kind of things, which which Lumines 2 suffered from. I like some of the tracks on it, but I don't like all of them. And so I quite like my music and my games. So this is one. This is also worth bearing in mind. You can also get, there's a PS2 kind of compilation which has them on. I do even believe there's a more recent HD version which you can get from on. You may even be able to get on PlayStation thing digitally. Anyway, that is my PSP games and PS4. Let's move on to PS3. Right, so PS3. Bear with me while I just pick up the thing. I'm going to try to do this one-handed. The piles are quite large. Right, sorry about that. I've just picked up the pile. Okay, so PS3. So yes, I had a PlayStation 3 on launch. It's not one of my most played PlayStation consoles, though. I was mainly, at the time, I was mainly a 360 player. So the games I generally got on the PlayStation 3 are going to try and be are going to be the format exclusive ones, or ones I found cheaper. And I'm going to say, before I start, PlayStation 3 is a lot more expensive than Xbox 360, and most of the games are going up in price, so I urge you to get them as soon as possible, basically, if you think. Okay, let's start with the games. Okay, so this is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. I also have the version on Xbox 360 of this game. So as I say, there are going to be a lot of RPGs in this, and this isn't really a JRPG. This is more like a Western kind of RPG, because it's more like an action kind of focus, and it's not going to be like the turn-based battles. This one is in real time. So this is Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen by Capcom. This is the better version of Dragon's Dogma. This is the original game. The most recent Dragon's Dogma game just got out. I haven't yet to buy it. I'm probably going to get it at some point, but I'm waiting for it to go into the sale, basically, or go on to one of the key selling sites like Fanatical, so I can get it cheaper. Anyway, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. So it's an action RPG by Capcom. I mean, so what can I say? What is it known for? The system in this game was called Pawns, I believe it is. So you created like these characters, basically, and then you could hire them out to other players to use online. Anyway, and then you say you can make them really large or really small, or do that kind of thing. Anyway, that's more like what it's known for. The game is good, though. It's a good action RPG by Capcom. And when you say this, I believe is also so this Dragon's Dogma is also available. There's an Xbox 360 version of it as well. There's a Steam review of you can get Dragon's Dogma, the original, on Steam, but I think my friend did a review of it, and he was saying it doesn't perform very well and stuff on a modern PC, so I'm not sure if that's the way you want to play it, but it is available on PC. Right, now we're going to go on to another RPG. So this is more a Japanese RPG. So this is Nioh no Kun. So it's a level 5 RPG. So I paid £3 for Dragon's Dogma, and it's going for £7 something. Sorry. Okay, so this is Nioh no Kun. So Wrath of the White Witch. It's a JRPG by level 5. It's also got Studio Ghibli in it, which did the animation kind of thing. So that's the main character on it, and Mr. Drippy, I believe, is the one there. So it looks really good. It's basically a stylized like a cartoon, and the animation was by Studio Ghibli. There's also an HD version of this that came out more recently, which was from the PS4, and you can also get it on PC. So what is this game like? It's similar in style to Dragon's Quest, and it's got a bit of a Pokemon kind of aspect to it, because you collect various monsters and capture them. So it's a bit like those. Anyway, it's a really good game, and there's also a sequel as well, and I believe there's a limited edition of that as well, and I'm sure that's going for a lot more. Anyway, I paid £3 for it. It's going for £4.87. I do also have the new remastered version as well. All right, let's move on to a format exclusive and our first Metal Gear Solid title of the day. So this was Metal Gear Solid 4. So this was format exclusive to PlayStation 3. And it's the continuation of the story of Solid Snake. Everyone knows about Metal Gear Solid Snake, and then that's one of the things. It also is slightly more unusual. It comes in this cardboard outer kind of style of sleeve. Unlike some of most of the games that come in the normal style of boxes, it's got a cardboard outer sleeve, or this version does. Alright, so we go on to that. And then we've got some more action games. So these are Ninja Gaidens, and these are Ninja Gaiden. These are the Sigma editions. So these are the editions with more content on them. They're also available on I think you could get them on Xbox 360 as well, but it didn't have all the additional content. So these are the Sigma editions, and these are the so this game before this is Ninja Gaiden Sigma. I believe this one was also available on Xbox, the original Xbox, but this is the newer version, and it's got like improved things. It's got more characters, more difficulty settings, and this is a really hard game. I mean, you said the original version was really hard. These ones I did finish. Anyway, I paid £3 for this one. It's going for $7.19, and we've got all the sequence here, so we might as well have all of them. This is the Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2. This one is $2.99. It's Ryo Hayabusa is the main character. He also has been. It's by KT Temco, who also did the Dead or Alive games. He also features in those as well. And you said this, I paid $2.99 for it. It's going for $7.25. Bear in mind, some of these game prices that I paid for, it's when I bought the game. It could be a long time ago. Those I've had for ages anyway. And there's more unusual games. So this is Yaba. So this is Ninja Gaiden Z. I paid $4.99. The difference in this is it's not it's probably not as well known as some of the other games in the series. So this is a cel-shaded Ninja Gaiden style of game. It's also it's similar to the main games. It's got a lovely cel shade. I like cel-shaded games. For instance, I like things like Jet Set Radio, Auto Modelista, and stuff like that. Anyway, that's a bit more forgotten about, and this is more expensive than the other ones. This is I paid £5 for it. It's going for £10 something, and that's probably a bit more forgotten about. Right, and we do our last game in the thing. This is going to be a bit of a cheat though. This is a HD remaster, so this is a compilation. They like doing these kind of compilations. There's going to be lots of them. There were quite a few at the PlayStation, and this is Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. Although I have both of the games originally in their original formats, I've gone for this remaster because it's the best way to play them, because it's HD. And Ico is basically it's an action kind of an action kind of platform puzzle kind of game, because you control I think the main character is a nameless person. It doesn't really have a name, and you have a girl you have to guide around the levels and solve various puzzles. Anyway, that's Ico. And bear in mind, these games, I believe Ico and Shadow of the Colossus were also redone on PS4 as well. And there's the most recent version of those games. And that was done by Bluepoint Games, that also did the Demon's Souls remake. Anyway, that ties them together. And this also has this little 3D compatible game in it, which means they were compatible with like the 3D glasses or like the old style TV. Anyway, Shadows of Colossus is a bit more an action kind of game, but it's got like a similar boss kind of rush kind of aspect to it, similar to the style to some of the shmups, in which they're just bosses into bosses kind of thing. So you basically have a series of colossi. I believe that's the plural of colossus. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. Anyway, you basically have to work out how to beat these various large enemies, and it was quite breathtaking back in the day when you climbed up the colossus, and basically had to take them out. And you have like a horse and various other things. Anyway, I don't believe I finished it, but I have got it. And then there's the most recent, what's the other one? I can't remember what the third game in the like kind of sequence is. Anyway, it's a more recent game. Anyway, I paid £3, and it's going for £18 something. And I believe it's cheaper than the older versions. Right, so we're going to go on to PS2 and PS2. So PS2, I had a PS2 on launch, and it's one of my more favourite of the thing, more favourite of the PlayStations, or the older ones of PS2 or PS1 are probably my favourite. Although I am enjoying my PS5 at the moment. And right, so we're going to go on to the PlayStation 2. And bear in mind, I thought the PlayStation 2 build quality wasn't great. I've had two in my PlayStation history, and I've also got a test one currently. The test one will play all region games though as well. And thanks to Lewis for the test PlayStation. If you want to see check out my video game hardware video. These are going to be picked up in multiple piles. They're just too big to show. I'll try to avoid spoilers. I'll put them out of shot and I'll get through them like this. Okay, so we've got my first. So this is SSX Tricky. This is the platinum version. As you say, all the platinum games in Europe have these silver style boxes, and you can see them. They display it on the spine like that. And this is SSX Tricky. I got it. I think I probably got it at the car boot or the charity shop. Let's see if I can deduce from the label. No, it hasn't got a label on. Probably a charity shop. I can't remember. I paid £1.25, going for £10.33. As you see, originally it was 2 for £30 or £19.99, but I didn't pay that. Anyway, say SSX Tricky. What can I tell you about SSX Tricky is it's probably the best snowboarding game there is. It's my favourite. It's one of my favourite racing games, full stop. Now, there's also a lot more SSX games, but this is the second game in the series after SSX. This is SSX Tricky. It's a snowboarding game, and it's similar in style to say, if you have a Nintendo platform, it's also worth checking out 1080 snowboarding. I think the other that's one of the other best snowboarding games. And there's also stuff like Cool Borders and that on the PlayStation as well. Although I don't believe I own a Cool Borders game for some reason. Anyway, SSX Tricky is known for the remix of the song It's Tricky, the Run DMC song. It was remixed by Mixmaster Mike, who was one of the Invisible Scratch Pickles. And as you say, the remix of SSX of It's Tricky is really good. I like Run DMC and Mixmaster Mike, and I like snowboarding games. And this is SSX Tricky. And you say that's one of the best snowboarding games, probably one of my favourite racing games. Alright, so now we're going to go on to I said how much it was. Alright, so this is Metal. My friend keeps messaging people trying to get some cards for Magic. Alright, this is Metal Slug Anthology. So this is basically, before people, as I say, Metal Slug. Metal Slug is a game that dates back to the Neo Geo. Let's see if I can scroll down on my Neo Geo box. I believe you see that's the Neo Geo. I've got a Neo Geo. I've only got 2 original games for it. I do have a multi-cart, though I bought relatively recently, and that's going to feature on my pickups video. I'll do that at some point. Anyway, let's get back to the collection. This is Metal Slug Anthology, and as you see, I got it from GameStation, which was a video game retailer in the UK. It does not longer exist anymore. Basically, most of the GameStation stores got replaced by CEX stores. Anyway, those in the UK, we have basically 2 main video game retail stores. There's Game and CEX. Those are the 2 main in the UK. So in America, I believe quite a few of my viewers are from across the pond. So your main chains are like GameStop, and there's some other. Anyway, if you're from America, let me know what your main video game stores are. So let me know in the comments. Anyway, I got this from GameStation. It is basically, so this is the cheapest way, or it's a cheap way to get some very expensive Neo Geo games. This is all the Metal Slug. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 X. Oh, I don't think it does. It have X on it? I'm not sure it has X on it. Does it have X? Yes, it does have X, but it doesn't have all the extras that X has on the PS1. So PS1 X is the better version of that game. So all the Metal Slug games are really good and worth playing. You can also get them separately as well, and you can also get the version. You can get them on Xbox. This compilation on Xbox as well. I think it's also available on Wii, and I can't remember if it's available on a handheld or not. Anyway, this is the cheapest way to play most of these games on a physical kind of thing, but this game is worth way more than it used to be. It used to be, I bought it new at 20. It's going to go for 48.40 now. Anyway, Metal Slug, a really good action game, and by SNK, the same people as Neo Geo. Anyway, I've got basically all the Metal Slug games, so I'm basically not going to ever get the Neo Geo ones. And it's worth bearing in mind, this does not have all the Metal Slug games. This doesn't have the Neo Geo Pocket ones, and there's the Game Boy Advance ones as well. And I haven't actually played those ones, although I finished all the other ones. But like trying to one credit them is quite hard. My favourite slug in the game is the Elephant Slug, though. In Metal Slug, my favourite Metal Slug is probably, I like X and 3, I think, are probably my favourite of the bunch. Anyway, Metal Slug is a game series worth checking out. Right, so we move on to Metal Gear, another Metal Gear. So this Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and it's worth bearing in mind you can get these in Metal Gear Solid Collection. I believe that's a PS3 360 era kind of one. So this Metal Gear Solid 3, I paid, as you see, $2.99 at the top. I believe that's a cash converters tag, which is like it's like a pawn shop, effectively what would be in America. So people bring things in, basically in, and they basically have some video games, electronics, jewelry, etc. Right, that's Metal Gear Solid 3. Not much to say about it. $2.99, going for £10.18. Then we go, a game that I've had since launch. So this is Fantavision. So this is a firework simulator kind of game. There's also only a couple of other games that I can mention with fireworks in it. Boom Boom Rockets, another one. Anyway, this is kind of like a puzzle kind of game with a firework aesthetic, and is a bit on the reaction time as you do various combos. And then you say this version is the PS2 version, which I had from you. I got it when I got my machine. I don't think it was that expensive. I would say it's a £20 something game. It was more not a full price game. Going for £4 something now. But you can get this game now. There's a more recent version, which is, I think it's a PS4 version, which I believe you can still get on PlayStation Plus and that for free. As far as I remember. I mean that enables you to get achievements on it, because PS2 get, for those that don't remember, achievements, they only came out they didn't come out at the beginning of the PlayStation 3. They only came out some percentage after the PlayStation 3 came out. And PS2 and PS1 and that games don't have achievements, and that will enable you to get achievements. Also playable a lot higher resolution. It's probably the more recent version is probably at 4K. I'm not sure if it's at 4K. I think it probably is at 4K. And it's also got some good music in it from what I remember Fantavision. It's a kind of puzzle game in which you line up various fireworks. It looks quite good with HDR on the more recent consoles anyway, and it's a treat for the eyes. And bear in mind that my dog doesn't like noise or fireworks. Right, so we're moving on, and we're going on to our next PS2 game. So this is Super Monkey Ball Deluxe. This is basically a compilation. So this is basically a compilation of the Monkey Ball games, the first Monkey Ball games that came out on the GameCube. I believe I had the GameCube version originally, but I got this version. And the PS2 games are generally a lot cheaper than GameCube games that came out at the same time. The install basis on the GameCube was a lot less, and it has Nintendo. Any game with a Nintendo generally has a higher premium on it than the PlayStation equivalent as well. Anyway, it's by Sega. It was one of the first games Sega released on a console that wasn't their own, because the Dreamcast being their last console. Anyway, Super Monkey Ball is a game where it's a kind of action puzzle kind of game, but it's more like a dexterity game. It feels like a dexterity game because you have to balance like the monkey, which is in like a ball, around this tight obstacle course. And their various thing. It's a really hard game. I've got the most recent one I believe I've got on the Xbox X currently, and you can get that on the PlayStation and the Switch as well, I think. And there's some other weird ones, weird spin-offs. I think you can get Step and Roll, which is like a game where you can use the balance board on the Wii for. Anyway, Super Monkey Ball, and it's also worth bearing in mind, even if you don't like the main game, there's a lot of extra content in this game. There's various modes. There's like 12 bonus games for multiplayer, and then like there's a lot of games. I think they might even be compatible with the multi-tap. Is it compatible with the multi-tap? Yes, compatible with the multi-tap. So for those who don't know, the multi-tap's a thing that enables you to play certain games that you can play with more than the 2 ports that came out in it, because the GameCube and that had more. GameCube and Dreamcast had, which I have pretty much most of the consoles from this era. They had a lot more ports on there. GameCube had 4 ports, and did GameCube? I think GameCube had 4 ports. Anyway, so it enables you to play certain games with more people. Anyway, Monkey Ball is it's not going for a lot. I can't remember what I got it for. It would have been about a £20 game. It's going for about £5, but I really enjoy Monkey Ball anyway, and it's certainly one of the harder games. Right, let's just go to the next stack, and we're going to go through some more. It's going to be compilation. There, I'm trying to avoid spoiling. Okay, so we're going to go to the first in this series. I'll just try and adjust this. Sorry. Okay, so we got I've got the paper now. I'm all right. So we've got Capcom Classics Collection. So this being the first volume, this is a selection of Capcom games. So we've got Ghouls and Ghosts, Final Fight. I'll show you the back. So we've got 1942, 1943, 1943, Kai, Bionic Commando. You can see all the list. I'm not going to go through it. So that's the first volume. So it's got Street Fighter, obviously, in that. This is one of the ways to play this game physically. You can get more recent versions of this that are digital, I think. You can probably get it on the Switch. Anyway, this is the Capcom Classics Collection, Volume 1. It's going for $13.69. And this is Volume 2. This also comes with the Capcom Quiz on it, for instance, though that game was purely for this collection, because there was an old style Capcom game, which is, I believe it's Quiz, is it Quiz and so, what's the title? Let me see. Yeah, it's Quiz and Dragons was the old story. There was the Capcom arcade game, because a lot of these games date back to the arcades. Anyway, Quiz and Dragons was the game, and then they did a new version which came out for this compilation. It's got a 93% from Retro Gamer. Check out Retro Gamer. Retro Gamer is a UK-based magazine that tells you a lot and does a lot of articles on these kind of games, and they do reviews. Anyway, it's a UK-based magazine. You can get it internationally though, and you can get it digitally as well for those that aren't in the UK. And Retro Gamer magazine, I always shout out to Retro Gamer magazine. I've been getting it for it must have been going nearly 20 years now, I believe. I'm about 40, in my 40s, early 40s. So for those that don't know me in person, right. I mean, it's Capcom Collection Volume 2. I mean, as I said with the Quiz and Dragons, there's the Quiz and Dragons, they did an exclusive version for this, which is the game they did, and it's based on Capcom game. That was this quiz game based on like stuff of the time, which probably hasn't dated very well. But this more recent version it's a Capcom trivia game, like, so it's worth bearing in mind. That's kind of like a party game. If you know your people that are into PlayStation, it's worth bearing in mind. Anyway, these games are both available. You can get most of the games on the compilation digitally. Anyway, on various other platforms, but I just like this way of having them physically. Anyway, this version, the second one, is more expensive. Oh, crap! I just hit my nail while I'm doing it. Yep, need to do my nails. Okay, so this version is more expensive than the other one. This one's going for £20 something. All right, let's move on to some other games. All right, we're just going through the PS2 and PS1, and then we'll be done. I mean, you see, I aim for around an hour on these because I do enjoy showing the games. All right, this is R-Type Final. This is one of the best R-Type games. I mean, those that don't know this R-Type, there's a whole lot of ships on this, and this is one of the best R-Type games. It might be my favourite R-Type game. I'm not 100% sure if I prefer this one or the PS1 one, but there we go. Alright, it's a very good R-Type game. I got it, I don't remember how much I paid for it, sorry. It's going for £9 something. I don't imagine it would have been very expensive. Now we move on to Gradius. I mean, you say this is one of the best. This is one of the best. I think this is my favourite shooter of its orientation on the machine. So this is for those that are and Gradius are like, they're sideways scrolling shooters as opposed to the games shooters that scroll the other way. And this is the best Gradius game. Full stop. It's my favourite game in the series. I mean, you say Gradius has got its iconic power-up system, which you have there's a bar at the bottom of the screen, and basically it scrolls through various power-ups, and you have to select them and pick them up and so forth. I mean, so this is also worth bearing in mind. This Gradius is produced by Treasure as well as in collaboration with Konami, that did various other shooters as well. So it's Treasure and Konami. Gradius 5, the best Gradius game from my perspective. Well, there's another Gradius game that's quite good, but this is probably the best one. All right, CX tag on the bottom, paid £12. Wait, so this is going to be one of the more expensive games. This is going for £42 something at the moment. There's not really much. I believe there's a Gradius collection. I don't remember if this game is on the Gradius collection. I don't think it is. I think it's still exclusive. All right. That's one of the best Gradius games anyway. Right, so this is Rez. The reason I'm showing this version is because it's the original physical version I had. Rez, for those that don't know, is a music game. It's a cross between what is it? A music game? It's a cross between a music game and a shooter because you scroll through various. It's a scrolling shooting game in which you play. It's this wireframe kind of aesthetic, and you basically have to hit various enemies and stuff. And I mean, there's a great the music in the game is great. And this game originates on the Dreamcast. This is the PS2 version, and there you can get. This is the Dreamcast version had a rumble peripheral for it, which was like trance vibrator thing, I think it was called, which enabled you to. I'm not going to go into that. Enable you to enjoy the game more. Okay, so anyway, Rez. It's a great like a Rails kind of shooter crossed with a music game. The song, one of the best aspects of it is the music. It's known for the Adam Freeland song "Fear." It's got Fear. It's Fear the Mind Killer. That song's worth checking out, and check out Adam Freeland. I like my music. He did a collaboration with BT, Hip Hop Phenomenon was the song. Anyway, no, Fear the song, the Adam Freeland song, samples California Soul, also one of my favourite songs. I didn't know it sampled that until relatively recent. Anyway, it's worth checking out either this version or the other version. So I would say if you're going to play it, play the more recent version, play the PS5 version. It's got a better kind of, it's a high resolution, it's got 4K and HDR. That version's even got, it's compatible with the 3D, the headset thing, and it's got a lot higher resolution, and I think it's got some exclusive stuff like I can't remember. Anyway, it's got trophies and everything. Anyway, however you play it, Rez, one of the best music games, or kind of cross with a rail shooter game. Anyway, one of my favorite games, and so they gave away the PlayStation 4 version, and I upgraded to the PlayStation 5 version. Right, that's that set of games. Right, let's carry on. Right, so now we've got Cyvriar. This is Cyvriar. This is the PlayStation 2 version of Cyvriar. It's also available on the Dreamcast. There's also a more recent version that's available on the current series of games. It's available on the Switch. I can't remember the physical version is. It might be limited run. I can't remember. I'm sorry about it. Anyway, Cyvriar is one of the best of these kind of style of shooting games. It scrolls in the top to bottom format like that. Anyway, Cyvriar, how does this? It's a shooter, Matthew. So what can we tell you about this one? It's a cross between a shooter and an RPG because the way it works in which if you level up by sitting in the bullet streams, the more risk you take, the greater the reward. It looks like a cash converters tag on the bottom. Yeah, it looks like a cash converters tag on the bottom. Anyway, you level up by sitting in the bullet streams, and the way you get your ship powers up, the more risk you take, the greater the reward basically, and it's it's the more risk you take, the higher. And I've cleared the game lots of times, but trying to get there, and you gain access to different levels the higher you are, and you can take different routes and that. Anyway, this has the basic two versions of the game, and as you see back in the day, it has a 50Hz and 60Hz mode, and it has like Tate support and stuff like that. I've got now a vertical monitor in which I will be able to play the games on, but like it doesn't. I don't currently have the cables to plug a PS2 into it, so I won't be able to do that currently. Anyway, I have the Switch that's got I've got the most recent version on the Switch that has a bit more content. But like, if you only have a PS2, this game is going for not a lot, £9.45. I think there's more than one game on that as well. There's the first two, I think, the revision. All right, let's go on to the RPGs. So we've got Final Fantasy X. So this is one of my favourite Final Fantasies. It's the story of Tidus, Wakka, Yuna, and Riku, and all the others. So this was one of the first Final Fantasies that had a spin-off game, which is X2, which is also available after, and is set after this one. So I played this one first. This one also has I think you can get a remastered version, which is available on the PS Vita, I believe, and maybe PS4, and more recent things. So this version isn't going for a lot. I didn't pay that tag price. Bear in mind, I paid like I paid like £2 for it, I think. Anyway, this version is going for £11.60 something. That's the platinum version. Right, let's go to the last stack of PlayStation. Alright, so we go to another RPG. So we've got Dragon's Quest, The Journey of the Cursed King. So this was the first Dragon's Quest to come out, to be localized in Europe anyway. I believe the one before this only came out in America, and I remember importing that and paying like 50, 60 for it from CX near when it came out. Anyway, this is Dragon's Quest 7, The Journey of the Cursed King. One of my favourite Dragon's Quest games. I love the artwork, I love the thing. Anyway, say Dragon's Quest, this one is available. You can also get this was redone on the 3DS, and that version is a lot more expensive than this one. Anyway, I recommend it. I spent about 100 hours plus on this game, and so I did nearly everything. I remember getting stuck after about 30 hours on the story. The first kind of like story boss, and then going back to it later and putting in a lot more time. Anyway, Dragon's Quest, really good game. Love the art, love the styling of it. Anyway, this version is going for £11.60. I'm pretty sure the 3DS one is quite expensive. I think that's at least 50 plus. Right. And now we're going on to my favourite. I'll say it now. This is probably my favourite racing game, full stop, I think. Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. What is so good about Outrun? It's got such a wide variety of... before we go, this is Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. This is the improved edition of Outrun 2006, which is available. Don't confuse that for the earlier version for this. You want this version. And bear in mind, this version is a lot cheaper than the Xbox version that is a lot more expensive. Although I'm trying to get that one anyway to have a set. And bear in mind, this is game. You can also get, I believe there's a PlayStation Portable version of the game. I believe you can link to this to unlock some exclusive content as well. Alright, Outrun 2006. It's one of the best games in the Outrun series. It's got a wide selection of modes. So it's got the normal, it's got various things. It's got the entire of the arcade game of Outrun 2. Some exclusive stuff for the PlayStation, or this conversion anyway. Yeah, as it says, you can link it to the PS2. It's also got a great selection of Ferraris, if you're into that kind of thing, like various other Ferraris, like the Dino and stuff like that. Those are quite expensive Ferraris. Right, anyway, this game is it's probably my favourite racing game. There's such a good variety of courses and that. Is it very long? No, it's not, but there's so much content. I haven't played it multiplayer or anything yet anyway. Now I'm aiming to get us do it via System Link I'm going to get two, because I've got multiple Xboxes. And I would think the Xbox version is probably going to look a bit better than this one, because the PlayStation 2 processor, I think it's a 400Hz Pentium, and I think the Xbox is like a 700Hz one, because it came out like near the end of the life cycle of the, was it 6th gen machine? Is it 6th gen? I can't remember which gen of machine it is, but there we go. All right, the music is also good. It's got remix of the original. I'm not a huge fan of some video game music, but like I like Outrun, I like Magical Sound Shower and Risky Ride and stuff like that. And they've got various like Euro remixes and various other things you can do with it. Anyway, Outrun 2006 is going for £12 something, that version. Cheaper than the Xbox one. Right, so we're going to go speed up now because I'm nearly at the hour mark. Anyway, Time Crisis 3. So this is one of the games in the Time Crisis series. I mean, you say it's not going to be the only Time Crisis game in the video for sure. Anyway, why have I picked Time Crisis 3 over the other versions of Time Crisis? Well, I always say because it's probably the one with the most content. Now, as you see, there's basically... So on the original Time Crisis game, you only had one weapon. This one, you have a choice of weapons, and you say it's also like stuff like Crisis Zone, which is also worth trying. It's worth playing all the games, bear in mind. So you have 4 different weapons on this. You have machine gun, shotgun, grenade launcher, and handgun. You have basically, there's 2 or 3 different modes, and there's also a sniper scope system which you can zoom in and out, which makes it more similar to a silent scope game. Without that, and they've got various mission modes. So I think this is the one that has the most content for the home console versions compared to the other games that... All right, Time Crisis 3, what's it going for now? £6 something. Oh, bear in mind, these games, so I was going to say, if you're not collecting, well, even if you're collecting original hardware, so the gun games, they don't work basically on more modern TVs. You need a CRT unless you're using, there's various peripherals and stuff, you can get them to work. So bear in mind, if you're using original hardware, you basically need a CRT. And I'm probably eventually going to get one of the more modern ways to play this, like this Sinden gun. I do believe Sinden guns might actually work with original hardware as well. I'm not 100% on that, but I will probably get... Anyway, I like light gun games. I did a video on light gun games. Check out my light gun games video, though, if you want to know a bit more about your Time Crisis games. Right, let's move on. We've got Kingdom Hearts. So this is the original Kingdom Hearts games. I'm not a huge Disney fan, but I do like RPGs, and I do like Final Fantasy. So this is a cross between the two. This is featuring various... This was one of the times Disney licensed out their characters. Anyways, that's Sora, the main character on the back. There's a wide variety of these. This was the first one I played. I got it when it was new. It's not going for a lot now. It's going for $6.99. But that's a Kingdom Hearts. There's various Kingdom Hearts collections that are available on the more recent... you can get on PS... I believe they're PS4 ones, that are the ports of these, which are at high resolution, at HD at least. Anyway, that's Kingdom Hearts. Right, on to the next piece of paper. Nearly there. All right, GTA 3. So this one, this is the first... It's not the first GTA game I played. I played the original 2D ones, but it's the first one I really enjoyed, because this is the first 3D one. Although it's showing its age a bit, there's more recent ports of this, but this is the one on the PlayStation 2, going for £4.79 on this original version. And this is going to be my most expensive PS2 game. So they did a lot of compilations on the PlayStation. They did quite a few, all of them to be honest, and this is one of the most expensive ones. This is Silent Hill Collection. So it's a compilation of Silent Hill 2, 3 and 4, all in one box. As you can see, the box is quite large. It's a thicker box. And generally, if you're looking for games, if you look at the boxes and you see these thicker boxes, generally the larger boxes are worth more, because it even means it's going to be a game with multiple discs like Final Fantasy or the RPGs or one of these big collection things. Anyway, this is really expensive. This is one of my better bargains. It's been on my video before. I showed it off before, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So I got this in the charity shop. It was quite a while though. It was at least 10 years ago when I was in the Buy From My Magic. I went out to have a look in the charity shops and I got this. I paid, I think it was £3 for it. It's going for $149.28 currently. So this is a compilation of Silent Hill 2, 3 and 4. Silent Hill are good survival horror games. They're not as action heavy as some of the other ones. They're more about puzzles and jump scares. I remember my dad trying to help me do some of the puzzles in this. I don't really remember Silent Hill 2 that much. I think 3 might be my favourite. I've played 3 and 4 for sure, and I've got all the other ones as well, but I haven't finished all of them. All right, a great game. Worth bearing in mind, this one isn't... You can get the games separately, not on this compilation. I'm not sure if they're more or not, but you can get the games individually. I don't have the individual versions. I'm just happy to have all the games. You can get a HD version, but I thought there was some complaint about how those were remasters, so I don't know if what the best way... Your best way is probably to emulate it. Anyway, that's Silent Hill Collection. Here we go, Resident Evil 4. So this is my favourite Resident Evil game for sure. It's the one I finished. I remember playing some... say this is the Platinum version. I paid £2. So now there's So I haven't played the Resident Evil 4 remake. That is available on the current series of consoles and computer, basically. So I haven't played this, but it's my favourite Resident Evil game, full stop. I just love the game. It's solid. I can't really fault it. And it's also, for a Resident Evil game, I didn't think it was that difficult. I thought it was the thing. I might play it on higher difficulty when I played the remake. Anyway, I paid £2, going for £9.38. And from one Capcom game, we go to the next Capcom game. We go Devil May Cry 3. So this is the first, I believe, the first Devil May Cry game I played. I played this version first. I paid £2 something at the time. As you see, that's a UK charity shop price. or Thrift Shop, they'll be called in America. Anyway, the Devil May Cry 3 is my favourite Devil May Cry game for sure. And I played it on this version first, and then I played it on the when the Xbox 360 when the HD version came out. And when you say the default in the Devil May Cry, I can't remember if it's this game. I believe it's your default European difficulty is equivalent to the Japanese hard setting. So, but like, I don't feel the game's ridiculously difficult. I can finish it on above that setting. Well, I can finish it like above the default setting anyway. All right, let's move on to the heavy hitters, the PS1 games, and you know you know there are going to be some heavy hitters in here. These games are expensive. Sorry, I'm going to have to bear with me while I pick them up. See if I can get them without dropping them. Don't want to drop some expensive games. Bear with me. Right. Hopefully you're still with me. I'm just about to go through the PS1, and don't forget, if you're still with me, thanks very much for watching. I mean, you say don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. It helps me grow the channel. I'm aiming to double my subscriber basis. I apologise that I hadn't done one of these in person, and say next month, what am I going to do for in terms of games? So I'm going to do some more gameplay. I've been distracted by the gameplay videos recently, so I've done quite a lot of those and haven't done as much on these collecting videos, but I love my collecting videos. It's one of the cornerstones that I love about the hobby. Anyway, we say we aim to do some more gameplay videos. I mean, you see, I'm playing Diablo on the PC at the moment. I know it's available on the console, but I've got a PC version. I'm going to do a gameplay video for that, showing some the new series, and it's on later today, but I won't be doing it until tomorrow because I need to sort out some stuff, and I'm going to play Magic later. I'll be doing some more gameplay from Diablo. I'm going to play a rogue in the new season. It's season 4, so I'm going to do some of that, and I also might do a video about my video game, so like the history of the video game controller. So it's going to be all about the video game various controllers, showing everything across a wide variety of platforms. Won't be just PlayStation, but the PlayStation will feature for sure. All right, let's go on to PS1. And this is going to be my most expensive game in my collection. This is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. This is the PS1. This is European edition. As you see, it's in really good nick. I did replace the case. I did get it from a charity shop. This was my best game, and it's featured in my video multiple times before. I do like showing it off. I should have more expensive games, but this is the most expensive game I own. Anyway, this I paid £3.50 for in the charity shop. This was bundled in with a PlayStation. I didn't want the PlayStation. I didn't want to have to carry it back. I already had PlayStation 1. This is a long time ago. This is 15 years to 20 years, something like that. Anyway, when we say that it was in with PS1, they wanted £10 for it. I just wanted the game. There were some other games on it as well. I think there was Tomb Raider and some other stuff. And I offered them £3.50 for it, and they took it. And we said, as you see, it's got a 1999 tag where it was probably Game Station on it. Anyway, this is a limited edition. This has got the art book and the CD. I've shown it before. If you just look at my PlayStation video, I'm not going to take it out of the case. Anyway, this is the most expensive version of this game because the art book and the CD add a lot of value to it. It's the main way to get this game physically. There's also available, you can also get the American version of this, the NTSC and the Japanese. The NTSC version had a second printing because it had a greatest hits version, which is like they've got the green like spine. So it had two printings of that game, and that version is still going for a lot. This version is wait, shopping, take a breath if you haven't seen this before. It's going for £540.58. This is my favourite Castlevania game. It's one of my favourite games, full stop. One of my favourite Metroidvania games. Was the term Metroidvania originates between the cross between originating from the Metroid games and Super Metroid in particular onwards, and this being the first Castlevania game that was in this kind of sequence. There are lots of other games that the more recent Castlevania games are more like this. The older Castlevania games have a completely different kind of style, and they're more like action kind of platformer games. This one has RPG aspects. It's a really good game. I remember playing it on Christmas Day one year. It's one of my favourite games. It's worth bearing in mind you can get this game digitally. It's available in what's called the Castlevania Requiem Collection, I believe, which is that and Rondo of Blood. Anyway, if you're looking for this game physically, it's quite difficult to find. If you want the game and just don't mind about it, there's a Saturn version that was available as well. But the Saturn version, I think, has some exclusive content. I haven't played the Saturn version at all. I've got this version. I don't really need the Saturn version as well, which might have some exclusive content. And it's also worth bearing in mind, if you want to try and complete the thing, the art book is available separately sometimes if you're trying to complete the game. The Japanese art book, if it's missing from the UK game, is the same. So if you're trying to put together a complete version of this is a way to do it is to piece it together and put the art book in and get the CD separate. It can be if it's missing those items. All right, that's Castlevania Symphony of the Night, one of my favourite Metroidvania games. I also picked up the Metroidvania Humble Bundle recently. All right, this is Time Crisis. And before I go, the Time Crisis was the original one of the original gun games. Well, the original PS1 gun games. Anyway, the price I'm going to quote is the Gun Bundle, which is the game with the G-Con one. But as I say, G-Con was like the peripheral or light gun thing for PS1, and then it had G-Con 2, which is for PlayStation 2, and then G-Con 3, which I'm still looking for one now for the PS3, which I haven't got yet. I mean, the price I'm going to quote is the Gun Bundle. And Time Crisis, is it the best version, the PS1 version? No, probably not. You can play the arcade game on an emulator now. But like this had exclusive mode for the PlayStation, and you won't get that on the emulated version unless you're playing the emulated PS1 version. It's got a thing. Is it one of the longest games? No, you can finish it in 15 to 20 minutes, but it's a good game. And there's one, Time Crisis in the arcade had a pedal which was like a foot pedal which you had to press to reload. Now it's emulated on the G-Con by pressing a button on the side of the gun, so it's not quite the same as playing the original version, but you can get newer things. You can get like a pedal to replicate that. Anyway, the price for this is a 48.46. That's the one with the version with the gun. So this, as you see, got a PlayStation Platinum re-release as well. Alright, let's move on to another game. We've got Parappa the Rapper. And you say this has a thinner style case. And why does this have a thinner style case? Because it's a promotional game. It was given away. It was basically for display use, for use in a store, or basically was sent out to the magazine. So it's in one of these thinner style jewel cases. I probably paid like £1 for it. It's got this kind of style of case. And it was either sent out to the magazine. It doesn't come with a manual. Bear in mind, this I think this is the price for this version. I'm not sure. This version is going for £43. It's a music game. It's quite on the. It's harder than the second one, but you have a rapping dog, basically called Parappa, and it's basically got this cartoon kind of cell shaded thing, and he basically raps along to various songs. There's one where he's waiting for the toilet, basically. He has to rap his way to the front of the queue. Anyway, it's an iconic PS1 game. It's quite original. There's another one as well. I think the second one is too easy for me, really, but like I enjoyed it anyway. All right, let's play some more gun games. We're going to have the Point Blank trilogy. So it's Point Blank 1. So this is basically like a series of, it's basically like gun mini games. It's similar in style to a Mario Party kind of game, but with guns. I would describe it as a series of short games. You can play with multiplayers in it. All right, we're going to have all the games. So it's Point Blank 1, Point Blank 2, and Point Blank 3. These are all the original versions. So it's Point Blank 1, 2, and 3. So the prices I'm going to quote are not the gun version. These are the games independently. You can also get a PS2 version, which comes with basically all the Point Blanks, with Time Crisis in Japanese only though. So Point Blank 1 is 1934, 2 is £17.15, 3 is the most expensive one, is £34.80. The PS2 collection, I checked on like eBay on that, and that's going for like 100 and something, and it sometimes comes with a gun. You can also get versions with the gun that are more expensive. All right, now we're going to go on to, so we're nearly there now, so we've got R-Type. So this is R-Type Delta. This is the version for the PlayStation. So this is a Japanese version. So this is Dubatops, the iconic boss of the first level on R-Type. And then you see he's also in the main game. No, this is the artwork on, this is a Japanese version. I'll show you the European version. R-Type Delta, that's the European version. So R-Type Delta, the English version is going for £32.64. The Japanese version is going for £48.98. One of the best R-Type games, either that or Final. Anyway, I have got both R-Type versions in this video. Now we go on to Metal Gear. So Metal Gear this was the first Metal Gear. So this Metal Gear Solid as opposed to Metal Gear. So I haven't played the original, like the NES versions, but this was the first Metal Gear Solid game I played. This is the original one. This won't be the original version because I think I took it back to the shop within the guarantee. I finished it within the week. Cheeky, I know, but I did do it. I've done that for a couple of games at the time. Shenmue being one of the other ones. I finished that within a week as well. And it's Metal Gear Solid, the original Solid Snake. As you know, the code's on the back of the CD case. You don't really need to see that. All right, that was one of the iconic puzzles in the game anyway. And this is going for, this one's going for $21.75. And as you see, it's got a thicker box because there's multiple discs in it. Right, and then see, this is the one that's not as well remembered. So this is just an expansion for Metal Gear Solid. This is special missions. So this is like the VR version, which like the VR missions in the first game. And it's also got various puzzles and that. It's just a continuation of that. As you see, it's not to be sold separately. I don't know what that came from, to be honest. Anyway, there's various VR ones, and some of them are even like a murder mystery kind of thing, where there are various puzzles and stuff. Anyway, it's an interesting thing, and I think that's a bit more forgotten about. Anyway, I like Metal Gear Solid, whether there's too much talking in it, because some of it goes on for a bit while. But the special versions, looks like our draft's firing. Loads of people were just saying we can make the draft, the magic draft. Anyway, Metal Gear, this is going for more than the base game, but you need, it's not a standalone as far as I'm aware. You need, yes, you requires a copy of the original Metal Gear Solid, so you need the other game to get it to work. It's going for £28.30, and as you see, Salvation Army, I paid 50p. Right, and the last game, and it's a good one as well. So it's one of my favourite RPGs. I mean, it's Final Fantasy VII. So this is the original version of Final Fantasy VII. There's also the Platinum version as well. I don't have that one. I'm not that bothered. I'd rather have the Black Label version personally rather than the Platinum version personally. I know people that do go for entire Platinum sets like Mr. Rightway. Check out Mr. Rightway. He's going for a complete set of PlayStation like Platinum games, and yeah, he's going for complete. I believe Retro Ghetto might be going for a complete set of those kind of games as well. All right, this Final Fantasy VII, definitely one of my favorite Final Fantasy. Is it the first Final Fantasy game? No, I played. I started on Final Fantasy on the SNES. I was one of the older ones. I started on Mystic Quest, I believe, was the first one I played on the SNES. So it's not even like a mainline Final Fantasy game. Anyway, Final Fantasy VII is a great Final Fantasy game. I recommend checking it out. The world setting, what is it got? It's more like, it's kind of like it's not as fantasy as some of them, because it's got like it's got like kind of technologically kind of thing as well, because there's like Midgar is like a kind of high city with aspects of various sci-fi kind of stuff as well. Anyway, it's my favorite Final Fantasy game. So this is available as a Platinum Edition, as I already mentioned. And as you see, it's in a bigger box. These Final Fantasy games, when you're buying them physically, you check all the discs are intact. There's like 3 or 4 on most of them. Alright, this version is going for £17 something. And then you say alternatives. You can also play, there's the more recent Final Fantasy VII Remake, which came out on PS4 and is available on the thing, they give it away on PlayStation Plus as well. You can also play that's the remake. That game's well worth playing as well. It's kind of different, so that it's a bit more lengthier, because they've basically spun off the various different sections of the game. They're currently on part 2. I haven't played the second part, but I have played the first one anyway. But I haven't done the second part. I'll play it at some point normally when it's in a sale or when it goes on PlayStation Plus. Anyway, Final Fantasy VII is one of my favourite Final Fantasy games, and well worth playing. Anyway, there's going to be a link over. There's going to be a Final Fantasy set coming out for Magic. I think it's somewhere later than this year, which is going to be, well, I'm quite looking forward to that. The Universe Beyond thing is going on in Magic, and they're crossing over into a lot of weird stuff. Like, they even did a Hatsune Miku thing recently as well, and there are like various other things like Lord of the Rings. Anyway, we're going to finish out the video now anyway, so thanks very much for watching. My name's Matthew, this is Matthew Hawker Gaming. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you haven't done already. It's free and it helps me grow the channel. Thanks very much for watching, and as I say, I'll hopefully be with you soon to do another of these in-person style collection videos. Anyway, I'll see you again soon. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.